Whether or not we're making a little bit too much of this whole tariff story, right? U.S. tariffs on China, 10%, nowhere near the feared 60%, et cetera. But I mean, for China, since Trump won, right, they've learned their lesson. They've diversified, right? It's like, okay, you're going to make it hard for us to trade with you. We'll trade with other people, and they have found those partners as well. I mean, this is an economy which, Western pundits like to poo-poo, right? Oh, no, they're in trouble, growing at only 5%, et cetera. Yeah. But this is also an economy running a trade surplus of $1 trillion. Obviously, somebody is buying the stuff that they're making, and they can't really be in that much trouble, can they?
Yeah. So let me make 2 points on that. So according to our computations before everything unfolded, we were always calculating with the 60% worst case of tariffs. But because of the elements that you mentioned, the real effect, and let's not forget they already have a 23% tariff rate slapped on average already, the real effect of 60% would only be 35% because of diversification of supply chains, diversification of trading partners, etc. But let me make another important point that I think the market has been surprised that China, yes, they were the only ones where tariffs were followed through, but also only to the extent of 10%. And the focus really been somewhere else right now in terms of using it as a negotiation tool. So my narrative around this is that China, or actually the whole region here, is in a much better negotiation position than sometimes has been debated in the news. And this is because of the commodities complex.
Oh, okay. Keep talking.
So first of all, there's a lot of very important trade alliances here in the region. You have the RCEP, you have ASEAN, you have BRICS Plus, and I will use BRICS Plus as an showcase for that. So the BRICS Plus, where China obviously is a big leader in that, is now able to supply the world with critical minerals and commodities to the tune of 70 to 80%. So I'm looking at graphite, for instance, rare earth, 78%, 63%. Indonesia just joined BRICS Plus. We have nickel now being able to supply out of the BRICS Plus to 63%. And you go on the list to traditional and non-traditional commodities. Now you put this in perspective. The U.S. is 100% import reliant on 15 commodities. Some of them were already used to retaliate by China in January and in February. Some of them look like small stuff like gallium, germanium, iridium, bismuth. But we talk about some of these 100% import reliance from the U.S., 93%, 86%, you have it. So if you want to bring production back home to the U.S., but you need these commodities to be able to manufacture, then there has to be a relationship and there has to be a two-way communication on how to make that happen. So I think these are very important trade alliances here in the region, and I think they give, apart from everything else that's in the mix that's still being negotiated where China plays an important part, this is a real economic advantage that is there, that is used to be played out and will most probably be used even more.
How can Beijing maintain that advantage? And I'm asking from the point of view of the 2 sessions and what to expect there in terms of policy support, stabilisation measures, or policy initiatives broadly that will continue to drive this momentum that we are seeing in terms of technological leadership, which DeepSeek suddenly seems to have brought to the fore.
Yeah, but in China, things are not that sudden. Things are very well planned out and well advised. It's just the market needs to pay attention. And again, I would walk back into last year. Lots of the structural changes, lots of the pivoting towards enabling private companies more has already happened mid of last year for everyone to read, for everyone to see. Now, we've seen that there were also the leaders of the big IT companies been invited to the president, for instance. So to that point, to showcase. So for everyone who needed to have even pictures on top of, something that has been part of the strategy, it's all coming in together. Of course, and I heard, someone summarizing that the next week's NPC could be a non-event.
Yes.
I think it's just, even if someone's labeling it a non-event, it will be a continuation of a policy in the making that has started a long time ago. If you put it out of context, maybe for you it's a non-event. For me, it won't be a non-event. I'll look at the details and I will look at where the fiscal spend is coming in, what are the areas that will get more focus, and I think it will be very consistent, very coherent along the lines of what we've seen striving forward to keep the momentum.
And what we have seen before, right, leading up to NPC is, I mean, we're all waiting for and hoping for, a lot of people are waiting and hoping for, okay, big bang fiscal stimulus, right? Throw money, help the consumer spend and invest, right? But I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you go back several months, right, they've been slowly drip feeding assistance and help to consumers in China, have they not?
Yes, and the consumer is definitely a target. So this is also a sector we like to invest in, just as an aside. But I think the more healthier way, instead of handouts, would be to show up sentiment, to make sure you have an improved economic picture, you have jobs for everybody, and if necessary, maybe you have a better social security net in case it doesn't happen.
Xi Jinping meeting with the big tech leaders, right?
Exactly. So this is if you pivoting into a more private sector engagement, this is something that will start coming together. Maybe not at the pace as everybody would hope that happens, but again, I'm saying this is a path we are on, and I expect this to continue and coherently work in that direction, which also ultimately benefits the consumer in the end.